Well, hi everybody. Welcome to, what is this evening called? Adventures in Noise? All right, so some of you have already been at the incredible workshop led by the wonderful is it Charis? Charisse, I'm so sorry. Charisse, who's used to having her name mispronounced, I bet. And so we're going to, my name is Mark, and the person on the other end of this Skype call is David Wills, often known as the Weatherman, and David and I are founding members of a group called Negativland. And David, why don't you show everyone your face and your beard.
All right. I got this camera on a little thing here. Oh, there's that.
See, quite a beard.
Big fluffy beard.
And so,
boy, that's the weirdest thing. Boy, I better not light a match. It would go up quick.
well, David started doing something that is now called circuit bending, but long before the term was being used. In I believe, was it 73 or 4? He was in high school?
I actually started it in 1972.
Oh my God.
I had it in high school in my senior year.
And the original booper, there's now about 10 of them. And can you show everyone the one you have there?
Yeah.
Just kind of pick it up.
This is the one I recently made. I'm looking back at the monitor while I'm doing this. I'm cranking my neck trying to get a good image here.
Yeah.
But that's the booper that never leaves Seattle.
Yes, it's called the booper that never leaves Seattle.
I don't know if I'll ever make another one.
And the original booper what's the full name of the original booper?
The original super booper.
Wasn't it something, the original super booper was, can you talk about how it was originally, you wasn't in a box?
No, I actually, one of my high school friends.
You can put your face on the camera.
Radio.
Yeah. Get on the camera. You can get on the camera with your face when you're chatting if you're able to.
All right. Well, I'm pretty ugly. I don't know if they want to see me. Let me adjust this a little bit. That's better. Okay. But my head is turned because I'm looking back at the monitor. Well, maybe I can hold the camera. Yeah, I can do that. Are you all right with that?
I can show you the crowd here. Can you see everybody, sort of?
Yeah, I see. It looks like a classroom.
Yes, they're all waving at you.
Oh, hello out there. Hope you're all having a good time.
So the original booper was inside of a jacket, is that correct? It was lining of a jacket?
Yeah, I guess you'd call it a puffer jacket.
A puffer jacket.
I don't know. I've seen that term online. It's one of those, I don't know if you know what I mean. But it was a Christmas gift from my grandparents, and then it was so big, I figured, well, I can put something inside this jacket. I started getting interested in this stuff, and you're holding your head, aren't you? I can tell. So the original one was just this transistor radio circuit that this fellow student gave to me. Probably in 1971. I wasn't even a senior yet in high school. And I heard about feedback. I knew you could do it with a microphone by the speaker, but I thought to myself, how would it be if you could do it electronically and have it hardwired and be able to control the feedback?
So you weren't aware of anyone else doing this. You just thought of this on your own.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I knew what oscillators were, and I know a very basic electronic theory without much math.
Right. So
That's
you didn't know.
Stress.
Do you know
math.
in the and how many here have heard of David Tudor? So yes, David Tudor was a pioneer of feedback and modulated feedback in electronics, and made things that actually did sound rather like this device that David ended up coming up with when he was a teenager. But that happens a lot, where you have no idea there's a history or other people doing it. You're just on your own and you figure it all out. So you then used, I believe it was a amplifier from a clock radio? It fed back on itself?
No, this same transistor radio that this guy
gave to me.
Transistor radio,
okay.
I even remember the make. It was called a United Royal. It had a real leather case. It was a classic Japanese transistor radio from the 60s. It even had plug-in transistors. You could actually pull out the transistors and plug in another one. So, and the amplifier part in the radio was a separate little board, so it was perfect. I could separate it from the radio. So that's the first thing I did, is extract this little amplifier from this United Royal transistor radio, and then I rigged up a little power supply to replace the batteries. It's the same voltage, like 6 volts or something. And then I started experimenting. I simply took a wire from the positive side of the speaker output, and I knew that it would be safe if you used a capacitor before probing around, because if you accidentally touch the power supply, you could ruin the circuit right away. So I don't know how electronically proficient you guys are, but I realized that a non-polarized capacitor about 1 microfarad would do just fine. It would allow the feedback and the alternating current from the oscillator to work, but if you accidentally touched the power supply or something that wasn't going to make a sound, it wouldn't damage the circuit. So I simply experimented with that. When I would find something that makes a noise, and typically that noise would be referred to as motorboating, that's the old hi-fi term that audiophiles used to refer to it as.
Can you make that sound with your with your mouth?
Yeah. Is that good enough?
Yeah, thank you.
Something like that. Kind of a low frequency, and you could blow out your speakers if you had that going on a powerful vacuum tube amplifier.
Right.
But this was just a low-powered transistor radio. I was even had enough smarts to put a resistor in series with the power supply so that the thing could run continuously, oscillating without hurting itself. In other words, lowering the voltage to the power amplifier that I was driving into feedback.
So is that kind of like you're making the battery, so you're reducing the power coming from the battery? The voltage from the battery?
Yes, by putting a resistor in series with the voltage from the battery.
And some of it,
or the AC adapter, which I eventually started using.
So nowadays, I think that term in circuit bending world is called making a power starve. Is that sort of?
Yes, I first heard that from our friend Adam Shaw.
Yeah.
In fact, probably I've only known about starving the power in the last year. I never heard that term before.
Yeah, it has dramatic effects. Because I remember the original Booper, that when the battery started to get low, it actually had a sweet spot where when the batteries were sort of drained, it sounded better.
That's exactly right. I'm actually doing that with this one. I can show you.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see that little power pack, but that's got a variable voltage switch on it. I've got it all the way down to 3 volts right now, and it'll run all the way up to 12 volts.
Okay. So you said you had a little diagram you'd made, and
yeah, let's see. Where is that thing?
We're enjoying seeing your nose hairs, David.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's showing my nose hair, damn it. All right, well, this is basically it. See if I can line that up. Okay, that little thing that looks like a triangle, that's the audio amplifier. Then there's the 2 lines together are the capacitors. And I actually have this reversed. It should be... Oh, this is a bad one. I made another drawing, and now I can't even find the good one. Where did I put the good one? I don't even have it anymore. Where the hell did it go? Stop that. Twitter just went off on my iPhone. Here it is. Here's the good one. I'm sorry about that. I'm so disorganized. That's the one.
There you go.
And let's see. So you can see that fact, for some reason it's reversed on my screen. I don't know why that's doing that. I think Skype is doing that.
We're seeing it fine.
So where it says...
We can see it. We're seeing it just fine over here.
All right. So it's just a basic amplifier. There's output level, and then the non-polarized capacitor that comes out of the output of the amplifier goes and feeds to, and I just put a general thing to potentiometers, capacitors, resistors, and switches. And this little thing over here, it looks like a little Y, that's the input. So after being processed through these components, it goes back in and makes a feedback loop. And that's basically all it is. And absolutely, well, not absolutely, but pretty much no math was involved.
Right, but out of something so simple, you have a device that makes a very complex sound. It just is it's so variable. I mean, if you can play it a little bit more for people here, the one you've got there, and I can show off what I have here. I have 3 of them over here.
Yeah, did I make one of those, or
this
those
is this is the one. Here you go. This is the one you made. David made this one for an art show we had in New York City in 2005. Wow. And then there's this nice red one. This one makes really long patterns. It's long cyclical patterns. This one is very short, and it's better for soloing on top of other noise and music. And then this one is this black one, the kind of the Darth Vader booper. It makes really low sounds and you can explain this. Adam built this based on your design, but he left something out that you do something on the other ones that make it have a very higher attenuated sound, and this has much more low end. Why is that? I don't remember.
Okay, well, he used higher values of capacitors, which tend to pass more low frequencies. I tend to use a lower value capacitors, like 0.05 microfarads, for example, and it filters out a lot of the lower frequencies on the feedback loop.
Okay.
But I guess you can use a combination. In fact, in this orange one, I do have a combination of both, so it can make both real low sounds and high sounds.
Well, I'm thinking before you demonstrate it, and also David's come up with a new way to use the booper as a processor, an effects processor, and he's going to demonstrate playing the radio through it. But does anyone have any questions? Because you can come up here and use this microphone if you want. If anyone has anything to ask anybody.
Into my living room where I can hear you guys better, because I'm in the kitchen and my speakers are in the living room.
Or you can shout them out to me and I'll tell David.
See, that's where my sound is coming from that big rig over here.
Oh, sorry, what? Scott?
Oh, I'm just waving.
Okay, Scott's just waving. He has no questions. Yes, all right.
Oh,
I don't blame him. I'm pretty weird.
How's the weather, man?
Well, how is the weather up there?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, it's been rather
We're going
hot
back
here
into
today.
a heat wave. It
Yeah.
started this morning, and even though the sun is going down, it's still getting warmer, and I'm sweating like a horse.
Today was 105 here?
Okay, you're in Arizona right now?
Yes, southern Arizona,
Yeah, I kind of
Tucson.
lost track of even where you were.
Right. I just got back from playing the solo shows in Kentucky and Indiana.
So, my sound is going through this little box. Say something, make these lights flash. So it sounds pretty good. I got it on the little cheap system right now, rather than the... Oh, that was nice. Boy, that scared
That's the
me.
red booper. I'm still amazed. See, I don't know how to build these things at all. David does. I just know how to play them. But
All right, I'm back in the kitchen again. I'm going to sit down.
What I love about them is that I never know what it's going to do when I turn it on. So when I'm performing with this, I feel like it's a collaboration with your brain, because I never know what your brain is going to do. And,
Yeah, and they can blow up a PA system if you're not careful.
Well, I always run them through a compressor.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, can you maybe demonstrate and talk about the one you have there, which is different, and show off the processing function it has, which I haven't heard yet. This is actually new to me. This is new to me as well, that it can do this.
All right. Well, I guess you can see there's 4 switches. This first one is an on-off switch, and then these are just switches that affect the sound. Then I've got actually another on-off switch here. It's kind of flaky, but it's just on a little amplifier that's mounted right on that switch, or that control. Then I got 3 other controls here that affect the sound. So I think I'll just go ahead and start this.
And now it does a lot of stuff all by itself without even touching it.
Yes, that's because I have a very high value capacitor that's storing a charge. So it keeps the transistor operating in a certain mode of operation for some time before it discharges. And then there are other smaller capacitors that are affecting the high frequencies. So I'll do a little more. Okay, what do you think?
I don't know. What does everybody think?
Sorry, I'm not that creative anymore.
That's not how I would describe it, but yeah. And then can you play a little bit of the this new feature or function it has where you can place, you had a radio hooked up to play through it?
Yes, I did. All right, here I go. I'm going to first, it'll just be regular, and then this, that's a classic Sony Walkman that I got at the Whole Earth Access in Concord, California in the 1980s. Like brand new. So I'm going to start the looper and then I'll bring the radio in and you'll hear it. Well, you may not hear it because it's very distorted. So here goes. Okay, does that make any sense?
Yeah, that was neat.
that really screws up the audio from
It
any
sure
device.
does screw it up. Yeah, that's great. That'd be fun to run rhythms, all kinds of different sounds through it.
Yes, I still have the Mini Pops Junior. I didn't have enough room to get it in here. Maybe this will inspire me to hook it up and make some.
Actually, what would be good would be to play another booper through the booper.
Ooh.
Yes.
You can actually take the output of this one and feed it back in on itself, but it's already so complex it doesn't really affect it all that much.
Booper course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
So, what else? Are we done, or you got anything else? Any
I
questions?
don't know if anyone had any other questions or anything, but it looks like no.
Was he?
Call the question. This is
Yeah.
from Jesse over in the middle of the room.
Was he?
All right, go ahead.
Were you using these devices in public performance at that time, or just for your own edification?
When you first were building the booper, did you use it in any kind of public performance, or you just were playing with it at home? That's the question, pretty much.
I actually took it to school and hid it in that big jacket I was telling you about. And when it was really quiet in a classroom, I'd switch it on for a few seconds and people wouldn't know what was going on. These funny noises, and they couldn't figure out that. I don't think I ever got caught. They couldn't figure out where the noises were coming from. But it was kind of fun.
I like that. Well, I remember when we first met, which I think was in maybe 78, and I just couldn't believe, I had never encountered anything like the booper and what it could do. I just thought it was just so incredible. Yeah, so unique. So
It's funny that this has maintained its popularity. The idea that Don had it all these years and had me restore the old one originally.
yeah, Don Joyce of Negativland, who actually died a few years ago, but he ended up the reason why I think David calls this the booper that never leaves Seattle is because the original booper ended up in Don's hands, and Don didn't give it back for about 15 years.
Which was okay with me,
Yeah,
but
but
it
he
probably wouldn't
used
have
it.
gotten played.
If you ever listen to the Negativland radio show Over the Edge, he used it every week. He just loved it. He was just endlessly could explore all the things he could do with it as part of mixing with the other things he was doing live on the radio. Yeah.
So what did you do before you called me? What's going on there? What is that place?
This is a workshop taking place as an incredible, it's hard to describe where it is. It's this incredible resource for the community here in Tucson of all kinds of tools to make things with wood, metal, laser cutting, 3D printing, and it's got workshops for people to learn how to do it, and then you can come here once you know how to use the tools and make anything you want. So today, there's been a workshop on how to build devices that sound quite a bit like your booper.
Why do you think other people want to do that? Make funny noises like I do?
Well, ask them. Why did you come here to learn how to make funny noises?
Yeah, I want to know.
For fun.
What?
Fun.
Why is it fun though? To other people, they would just think it's this god awful racket, you know?
Oh yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
So there does seem to be continued interest in this stuff.
Oh yes.
I don't really know why, but it's fine. I'm happy that it's there, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's because,
I don't consider myself very smart about this stuff. It's just fun.
Just a moment. The woman who led the workshop here had something to say.
So I like to do it to make people uncomfortable. So I used to just play noise, and my whole origin was to make people uncomfortable, because I think whenever you're uncomfortable, you maybe have a new experience, and it also filters people out. So I ended up being.
I can't quite hear anything.
Should I just go over there?
She enjoys making the crazy noise, because it makes people uncomfortable. And that when people are uncomfortable, that's a moment when they are out of their comfort zone and
maybe have a new experience.
and maybe have some new experience or new way of seeing, perceiving,
and
thinking.
it also filters people out. So
Okay, I guess that's what being progressive is all about. Not that I know anything about it.
Yes, it drives people out of the room. What do you mean when you say filter them out?
So I used to play left.
What did you
I ended
say?
up
I'm
becoming
sorry.
friends
Yes,
with them.
she was a DJ playing breakcore, and whoever was left,
I ended up becoming friends with them.
becoming friends with whoever was
Because
left.
they were into it. They got it.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's actually not.
Yeah.
that.
And I think in all the years we've done this, we've always understood that it has a limited appeal, but that never bothered any of us. You know, that was fine, right?
Yeah, I guess that's maybe why I like it too. I don't want to get too popular, do I?
No.
Did,
All right. Well, did you have something you
did
want?
people actually make money from the Negativland albums? And
Did people actually make any money from Negativland albums? I think that people might be you and me.
No, I had my job with the cable company fixing the Playboy channel, among other things.
We actually did. In the 90s, we actually did make money. I actually lived off it. And then when Napster started and downloading and the industry changed and the meager bit of money that was coming in basically vanished, I personally ended up being asked, because of all the, some people may know our work, we got sued, we got drawn in all these lawsuits, and kind of being inadvertent spokespeople for this conversation about what is property, what is ownership, and what is theft when you live in a world bombarded by messages and information and advertising, and you have ways of capturing it, regurgitating it, spitting it out, and maybe you want to make some art out of it that critiques it, satirizes it, mocks it, and maybe that should be allowed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we were being sued for that. We spoke out, and by the end of the 90s, I started getting asked to do lectures, and over the years I did about 120 talks, panels, lectures, symposiums, and workshops all around these issues. And I started making a living out of talking about, I made more money talking about it than I ever made doing it.
like academics?
Yeah,
Now, the thing
universities, law
I
schools, and art
started
schools. A
doing
lot of law
is
schools.
Right,
recording
intellectual property.
Sorry,
these
David, go ahead.
scam calls.
What have you been recording?
I'm recording scam calls when they come in. They leave messages, and I know darn well they're not going to sue me. I give my scam calls the Negativland treatment, so to speak,
Jeez.
by making something out of them and putting them on social media, and hopefully that will help reduce these robocalls.
Play them back.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. I'm so happy this worked. I wasn't sure if the technology was gonna succeed or fail, but it seems to have worked. So thank you very much,
Okay.
brother man. All right.
So, did you want me to do anything else? Or are we done? Or what's going to happen now?
I think we're going to sign off, and we're going to say who's going to perform. We can do a boop. I can turn all the boop. You want to turn them all on just for a minute?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. I'll
Let's
turn these.
just
Wait a
start
second.
in and I'll follow.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get them all on here. There I am. All right. Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Thanks. That was great.
Okay.
And
I hear a couple people clapping. I guess that means something.
it does mean something. Yeah. So who's up next? What? Oh, you guys are up next. I thought it was okay. All right, David. Thanks. We're signing off. Take care.
All right. You have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for letting me do this. We'll see you later.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye now.